Right, hello. I am in the floor right now in a super flat world, and I've decided to challenge myself a bit. I want to create an ice farm that is going to basically be able to then be constructed on a server I'm playing on. And I guess we'll see how it goes. I've never made something like this. I've not looked at any tutorials. I've already tried one idea. The idea I tried was the Frostwalker, where it turns out you actually can't mine the Frostwalker ice. It's called Frosted Ice, by the way. So I figured another idea out, and it uses flying machines, which I've not used before, which is exciting. And so I figured I'm gonna give that a go and record my progress. So I'm starting here in the floor. I've generated a world with one layer of snow on top of it, and apparently Minecraft just puts you in the floor when you do that. So yeah, let's go. We got ourselves a nice sunset going, and we're gonna test one thing that I didn't think of when creating this, and that is if I... Okay, so the thing I was worried about is that the water is going to punch through the snow like it does through like one layer of snow, but apparently it doesn't do that with snow blocks, which I'm glad. Ourselves a basic hotbar to work with, so I'll need water, I'll need sticky pistons for the flying machines, just observers, levers, slime blocks, obsidian for those, sponge to clean up water if I fuck it up, and ice if I need to place ice somewhere, you know, have the ice. And as my main building block, I'm going to be using end stone bricks. Why? Because I figured they look kind of nice, and I don't want to use iron blocks like everybody else, including me. The first flying machine is going to be something that generates water sources. This guy, and this guy needs to activate to... Okay, so the simplest way to get him to activate would be to just have an observer like that, and another observer at the end, like this. Uh-oh, uh-oh, stop the train. Okay, I figured it out. Okay, I figured out the basics. Please stop here, so it's not a massive deal. Alright, fantastic. It did stop. I'm glad. So now we just add an end stone, a lever to get this going on this side, and then we add an overhang like this to get it going from this side when it drives. We just add an end stone and we add the lever, and it goes in the other direction again. It's gonna be our little testing track, I guess. Please stop here, so it's not a massive deal. Alright, fantastic. It did stop. I'm glad. So now we just add an end stone, a lever to get this going on this side, and then we add an overhang like this to get it going from this side when it drives. We just add an end stone and we add the lever, and it goes in the other direction again. It's gonna be our little testing track, I guess. So I think all we have to do to make this design work is we have to add a piston here, and something to power those pistons, because I don't think they will actually quasi-connectivity. Yeah, quasi-connectivity is not good enough for this, so we're going to have to add something to power them, which is more observers, pretty much. Alright, so now adding observers is going to be not a massive problem, because we are just gonna add one like that, add another one here facing into this block. Okay, now if we test this machine, it should hopefully do this. So this now one takes those bottom pistons just fine. Now what the idea behind this is that I want to have a way to replenish water source blocks in this lane. And the way I'm going to do that is by utilizing movable water sources in waterlogged blocks. So if I waterlog those stairs, and I move them using a one-tick pulse from a sticky piston, they will actually move the water source, which will create more water sources sort of in the meantime. So let's give it a bit of a test, shall we? Now this quite obviously did not function at all like expected. Now the question is why, and I think I know why, but we will take a closer look in a moment. And I think the problem is actually that I have them one block too close. Because first thing that happens, the piston behind this observer pushes all the blocks on this side one block further, which makes those pistons attach sort of close. Those things? No, that's not how this should work. This should actually work just fine. Hold on. What am I misunderstanding about this? Yeah, they don't actually get... Oh! Oh no! I understand. Quasi-connectivity. Quasi-connectivity causes those blocks to expand for 2 ticks instead of 1. I think I can fix that, actually. So, hopefully it's not no longer a pulse extender. Let's give it a go. Well, apparently it's still a pulse extender. If you look at those pistons, they are clearly not being powered for 1 tick, because the slabs stick to them. So, I am clearly doing something wrong. Now, one guy on one side, another guy on another side, and now just slap 2 boys looking into the sky on top like this. And this should hopefully function with the slabs in place. Let's just quickly add those blocks in, cover those up, and cross our fingers. I think the problem was not with quasi-connectivity, but with the things firing on the wrong tick. Or some... I'm not exactly certain what the problem was, but I think it should be fixed now. It's still not fixed. And I think it actually is an issue with quasi-connectivity. This should first push those blocks, all of those forward. This is 8 blocks, 9, 10, 11. So we can add 1 more block before we hit the push limit. It should push them, and after they are pushed, those should fire 1 tick pulse into those pistons, and we should be good to go. So let's give it a dry test before we add the water with the pistons. Okay, let's reset it. Oh yeah, totally forgot about that. How do I reset the machine? The machine back in this position. I think this is actually ready for a proper water-filled test. So the effect of this should be that the 3 center blocks should be water source blocks after this machine goes through. And as we can see, it does seem to function in... Oh. It would be functioning if this block was not on here an accident. Let's reset that and pretend it never happened. Oh great, that's not the correct lever, actually. Embarrassing. This I'm doing, the first take of this new test. Pay no attention to this water here, which totally just spawned naturally. I had nothing to do with it, and it was not a failed test that failed due to a stupid issue. Anyway, now that we toggle this lever, it should water block up, water source the 3 middle blocks. And it should be glorious. I just realized it won't do that, but it will create a water source in the middle, which is pretty good regardless. So now it stops here, and we have a nice little row of water source blocks starting from like here. There's an issue that's gonna be a problem, as in if I flick this lever here to make the system go again, it doesn't actually take the slabs back, and even if it did take the slabs back, I don't think they are going to be water sources anymore. An ability to place a lever. Uh-oh. Man, I really should think more when I do things. So we're gonna have source blocks 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when those slabs get pushed, they will create source blocks here, here, and here, which are not going to be affected by the machine going through, which then means in turn that this and this row will fill this and this row, And we are gonna fill this row with water source blocks using waterlogged slabs or waterlogged trapdoors actually on this side. So this is gonna be a source, this is gonna be a source, and then this row is gonna start filling up with water sources. We'll just need to figure out how to reset the mechanism once it's activated. So let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Let's see if it functions. Right, it moves on, it moves through, and it does fill this with a nice little pool of sources of water. And I just realized I have no stop for that one. Hold on. Stop. You need to stop, buddy. Stop, buddy guy. Okay. We've just created a bunch of additional water. That's not a problem. Send him back. Make this machine stop. Make the slabs stop basically one after the machine. And I think I can just use obsidian blocks for that. This is gonna stop the slabs from coming out further than this, and it should hopefully mean that when the machine goes back, the slabs go back as well. So let's give it a short test, and this time with a stop, and see how it goes. Punch this button, and this should be filling up. Nice, very nice. Now this should stop the slabs right there. Okay, fantastic. Maybe I should have this guy on the front. Maybe this is a little Sphinx machine, actually. With this guy on the front, this absolutely looks like a Sphinx. So I've moved the observer from the top to the front, because that's going to be easier to activate from the other side. Now, let's give it a dry test without water, just to see if it functions as a... Well, apparently after moving this guy, it doesn't... Of course it doesn't function. Look at where this piston is. Sadly, removing those front observers removed a lot of personality from this, but at least it should be functional now. It goes, it should stop here. And I just realized... Well, I mean, I can power those guys. Get an update in front of those guys here than it is to get it to those guys anywhere else, although I seem to have run into a problem, which is that it didn't... I'm a bit confused. I have great news. I think I've redesigned this to actually give it a nice look with those three guys over here. So let's see if it actually functions, please. Right, seems to be perfectly fine with the three guys heading over, and then it like sort of... See, it like a power outlet, it just throws itself into the wall, and I just realized those obsidian blocks are actually one block too late to stop the slabs, so give me a moment. This one should have them fly nicely in sync, and then after that it should also have them fly back in sync, taking the slabs with them, so, you know, one step closer to success again. Let's see, it nicely takes back the slabs, I think. I think it is. Yes, okay. We've taken back all of the slabs. They are not getting waterlogged, which is a problem. But maybe we could have a dispenser waterlog them. I actually need a way to have those slabs actually be here, first of all. If the slabs need to be here, and they need to be waterlogged. Which those two did waterlog, which means if I have two sources of water at each side, it seems like they are going to waterlog automatically as long as I can get them in this position. Place all of those blocks with trapdoors and then waterlog those trapdoors, so to have a water source that's not freezable on the side. Now the water. And actually, I started forming here, which is a bit of a problem, because I don't actually want the ice forming here. And I just realized if I had a water source block here, yes, this actually waterlogs the trapdoors, which is fantastic. And hopefully the machine doesn't malfunction with all the water inside of it, but I don't think it will, so we just need to figure out a way to one-tick those pistons at the end of the return phase, and then we are going to be able to reset again. I've added those little things here to stop the ice from forming on critical blocks, and I am gonna say I'm a big fan of how this looks at the moment. It looks like a little temple with those two guys, like, just, you know, watching over it. I love it. Closed off a ceiling here so it doesn't break while I'm working on other things. And this basically means this part of the build is complete. I'm not going to be using this directly, I think. I'm just using this as an sort of to learn what the layout of the machine needs to be for it to function. We might revisit this when we need to one-tick those slabs. We are actually just going to leave this build be and start working on the next part of the machine, which is going to be the part that pushes the ice blocks that formed down before this machine flies over and replenishes all the water sources. Boop. Right. Right, so now with this thing done, let's just slap a block here. We'll have it activate. And it seems to be going just fine, pushing along, those blocks being pushed down, of course, with the piston, and it stops here, and now I just add a button here, and... Now the only problem is, when this goes, they're gonna go back in the other direction, which will mean that if one block of ice forms in this entire thing, while this machine is going, the entire thing will stop and break. I think it's about time to construct a platform a bit higher up in the sky and try and create a first prototype of the entire system together, which is going to consist of one of those in the front, then one of those behind, and then again one of those in the back to clean up when the machine is going in the other way to prevent any potential freezes or stoppages of the system. Now add a slime block behind each of those. I just realized I can't I have to use honey blocks for the middle section, because otherwise the sections are going to stick to each other, which is not something we would like to have happen. That didn't happen. Now this should be ready for a short test. So when I activate all of those pistons using a nice little redstone line technique, this should activate all of the machines. Okay, so I took a bit of a refresher, and hopefully that's going to allow me to build this properly, because the first try actually failed horribly despite this actually working. So let's give this another go. I've been scratching my head for a while now, trying to figure out why the middle one made out of honey blocks doesn't function, and I've learned about a new mechanic. So if we have the exact same setup here with an observer looking into a block then has a piston on top of it, it turns out slime blocks, this is perfectly fine. Honey blocks, not. It's not. I thought they are both the same, but apparently honey blocks are not. I've moved the middle one block to the front, and now I should be able to activate it and have them all go together at one time. Lovely. Now it should also function when I press this button to send all of them back into the starting position. Now that's wonderful. Right, so I think this constitutes the first step of the process done. So now the second step is going to be constructing two of those guys behind those guys and also having them start at the same time. Theoretically, this should function. However, in practice, I have no clue. I'm a bit afraid to press the button to test it, but I guess here we go. I don't like this, because I've run into this problem before. Those pistons for some reason get buttered. Anyway, we're gonna have to get back to this tomorrow. This is absolutely broken at the moment. It doesn't function. It's not good. I think I'm going to get rid of all of this and try and first set up one free module thing here, and if it does function, only then will I actually add sort of the other side of this. I'm gonna go to bed or something, or do something else that isn't this particular project, and for now, see ya. Morning, I just woke up. It's time to get back to working on this bloody mess, which I've in the meantime forgotten the progress I've made on. But I think last time I just broke this. And it can be sent across to the other side. It stops and can be returned to the original position like this. So now it's a matter of adding a second machine behind it that's going to also go in sync with the first one. It's actually very easy to do. All we have to do, I think, is this. We get ourselves now 2 outputs on the top that we can potentially just trigger easily, like so, and like so. What? Not again, dude. Where's this? What happened to the obsidian block? What happened to the other one? Block sticking out here. And this is actually not facing forward, I guess, like it was before. So now we just add a wall of obsidian, just so this block stops when this is updated. There we go. There we go. Okay, it flies across and flies back, and does get stopped by this obsidian for now. Alright, I think both machines are done and ready to be going. This one just needs a set of end slabs to work with. So now hopefully when I hit the button up top, those 2 pistons extend and they start both the machines at the same time, and hopefully that means they do not collide. So I don't think I've forgotten any redstone. Let's just slap one on top of this just in case, because redstone seems to be a bit inconsistent. Have a button here, and let's give it a go. Well, that's terribly unexciting, because I forgot that this doesn't actually connect to anything. Okay, another go. Let's go. Well, this one flew amazingly. This one... What the hell happened to this one? Did it steal an observer from this? Did I have an additional observer on this side? What? Hold on. It's had a little bit of trouble starting up. Let's give it another go, shall we? Alright. It did go. I don't know why it didn't go before. Maybe because of the additional observer. So, now we just have to make it go back. I've moved this observer from facing forward to facing upward, so we can easily activate it. And I think this is just now a matter of removing the brakes on this and giving it a go. Hopefully. I actually realized I forgot the obsidian blocks for those slabs. In this configuration they would have not started, but now they should be okay. And this is not going to push the obsidian, so it should still function. So let's give it a go. Oh my god, they are going. Fantastic. Okay, so they've moved across here. Now let's activate them again from this side to have them go. Okay, so there's clearly a problem with this. Like, it doesn't start at all. Why doesn't it start? What? Oh! Okay, so the problem is probably that there are 2 slabs here that need to be here, because that probably goes over the push limit. So I have to figure out my little ticker for those slabs, I think now. Right, so I think I figured it out. I put a little bit of an observer here that activates a piston down below. It's very simple. And what this should do is when this block moves over the observer, it should pop up the piston. When it moves off of the observer, it should pull the piston down. And that should hopefully hopefully be able to stop this from breaking the machine. Let's get them going. Let's see if they function. So now this apparently does not function. It does stop the machine from going across, but I'm wondering if I have it coming back, will the system work when it's coming back? Because I think it is going to, so maybe it's just a matter of starting in a different state. Okay, so let's have them go back. Yes, they pulled exactly like I wanted to. Trigger this guy. So this actually functions perfectly fine. And now when we do this... Wait a second, I think this works. I think we got this. Boom. And boom. Hold down. Fan-flippin-tastic. We've got ourselves a working two-segment thing. This first machine here, with a slight modification of one slime block right here, that is going to be colliding with this obsidian block to stop the machine. So we all three of them actually have different parts that move and don't move, so they actually can hit different breaking blocks, like this. So I think we are ready to give this a little bit of a go. So... Right, it could be worse. Did I forget to remove a brake? Did this not activate the piston? Did it not fire the machine? Oh, I am activating the wrong piston. Of course, I'm activating the go back piston. Pardon me. So now we should be able to give our free machine system a bit of a go. Apparently still not. Maybe we are over the piston push limit, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on, so this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can't use this method, but fortunately, I think I have a very, very simple replacement. So if I take this observer and place it right here, it is still going to fulfill the function of ticking this piston, while also being able to be stopped by this block. Alright, and now let's give this a go. It's going. I totally forgot about an observer here. No, it got stuck to that. So I've moved this machine one block back so it doesn't collide, and I just realized I didn't have to do that because No, I did have to do that because otherwise this block wouldn't function as a stop. Never mind, I did have to do that. No, I didn't have to do that. I'm a bit undecided here, but I think if I did this instead, this is going to function perfectly fine and not have the problem of this having to be one block further. So let's give this an activation. No! No, dude. I think this is now all basically broken. Where's the brake? Oh, the brake. What happened to the brake in this? It doesn't have a brake in this direction because it's supposed to go. I'm stupid. So, fortunately, it was a bit less screwed up than I thought. It's just required a bit of moving, a tiny bit. It didn't need, like, I didn't need to build it all from scratch, thankfully. So, with this, we should be able to give it a test. Yes! It functions. I think you can actually hear that I smiled when this happens. I am very, very happy that this actually functions now. I think it functions anyway. This is a bit far away. Oh, it got stopped by the starting... Okay, so I've made a little bit of a modification. Instead of this observer being just like that one here, I'll move it here. So now this sort of tunnel, this block tunnel on this thing is filled, so it can stop on this block as the brake. And this one should be able to simply go through. Now, all we need is we need to figure out a way to stop this machine and with some block. And I am not yet certain how I'm going to accomplish that task. I think this should hopefully be able to start and stop in the correct locations altogether. That's embarrassing. I totally forgot that I moved these observers to the side, so now I need a different activation mechanism. Remove this for now, we're gonna need it later, but for now it's just in the way. And activate. That piston gets stuck because of redstone. That's easily fixable by placing a redstone line on this. Okay, so this now should, I think, do exactly what it's supposed to do. How cool is this? Look at it. Look at it go. Bitch ass. And I've made extra sure this doesn't get stuck. I don't think that was the issue. I think the issue was this being one block too far. But we'll give this a go. And hopefully it don't explode. Okay, now this is really far away from the other one. I don't know why this is like that. And also this one freezes because redstone. Bloody hell. You see, there's been an issue with the pistons facing down. I'm going to make another video on it, but basically, pistons facing down have a tendency to freeze for no apparent reason. They just do. Anyway, move this one over. Now this should mean that when we activate them all together, and by that for that I need one more block in this direction to activate this mechanism. So now we have the... Oh, it probably didn't update? Okay, anyway, let's try and give it a go in the other direction, and hopefully they don't all tangle together. Alright, this seems to have gone back into the same spots. Now activating this, and activating that. I think our flying machine, like the first segment of our flying machine, is actually functional now. Oh man. I am glad to see this working. Like, actually working this time. This is absolutely something to just play with all day. Like, look at how cool this is. I'm a bit of, you know, a bit of tooting my own horn, but I've just created something cool. So, you know, I'm going to do it. Deal with it. Morning. I just took another break. I just woke up, took a shower, and now I am ready to begin work on this once again. I think I could maybe construct the second machine in such a way that the slime blocks are here instead of there. So now if they both move together, those slime blocks should not affect each other. A bunch of testing, I think I figured out that it's not really possible to have the machine like I initially wanted it to, and so I am just simply moving this one like 2 blocks forward, just so it doesn't collide. So now this machine is built next to that one, and let's give them a go. Uh-oh. I just realized I need to stop them at in different places. Okay, that's a bit of a problem, but only a bit, because if I take out this block, they no longer collide with each other, so I should be able to just click this. That one should go back into place. And then quickly update this guy, so that that one can go back into place as well. And now we just need to remove this block, because this one is moved too further to the front. And now we should be able to actually test it and have it work. I literally forgot one of the blocks, but it still worked. And can verify they are now nicely pushing along together, and they can return to the starting places just like that very well. Added another slab machine right here. I've changed this setup a little bit, so it's now a central line running across, and then things running off of the central line. We can add a button anywhere on this, and it should power up 4 machines at once, and they should fly to the end. Hopefully I haven't forgotten any blocks in the setup. Let's go. Oh, this actually activates all 5 of them. That's tasty. Alright, now let me just transform this setup so it actually can function to power this machine too. The activating setup to go for going back is ready. Let's give it a shot. Right, now this goes. All I forgot to do is actually punch out those 2 blocks and replace them with observers, and if I do that, the slab's actually going to be taken with the machine, so this should now work perfectly fine for going across to the other side, and then should also function perfectly fine going back into the starting position. Now that's something that's pretty satisfying to watch, and we are still 2 machines from being ready. Construct additional things here. Now, for that to happen... Oh man. I am getting a bit stressed out. Oh no, this bug again. Look, it now happens in one direction, but it doesn't in the other, despite the same signal strength being applied to both of them. So I assume, if I make it like this, they both freeze. Bloody hell, man. I fixed the piston freezing problem by just changing the redstone a bunch. Alright, I've built another one, and let's give them a go. So this one froze, which is not a good sign. Why did it freeze? Because I forgot to remove the brake. Well, that's a bit of a problem, innit? Thankfully, I don't think they actually fused together because there are no slime blocks touching. So all I have to do, I think, is just remove that brake block that I put on accident. Trigger this, it should go. Trigger this, it should go. And now just trigger all of them together. Except for this one, which doesn't actually trigger? Wait, this has a trigger. Why didn't it go? Alright, well, now this is a major catastrophe. Oh no. Here, now, I can't help but notice there's an additional block, which makes me think I just absolutely added some helper block, didn't notice, left it in, and this is the result. Just, I think, exactly what happened. How do I unmessify this? The machines are back in the starting places. Let's give this a shot. Whew. Okay, it seems to be functional, and they even stopped in the proper places. So now all that needs to happen is hopefully for them to go back. And just like that, we have 5... Is it 5? No, it's actually 6 out of 7 machines, so it's now just time to build one more. Let's go. It's time to build 2 more, because there's one here and one here. Took out the helper block, which is, I just realized we need to add a brake on the other side before this actually colossally explodes. So this brake block is actually the same as this block, so it should be right here. And that should stop that observer. This is getting a bit crammed, but hear me out, it's going to work out. Alright, let's give it an activation. This is incredible. Alright, now this machine doesn't actually have a way to activate back, I'm fairly certain. Alright, so this should work for a reactivation mechanism. So now this should be able to power that. Now this should not interfere with any other flying machines. Hopefully. Hopefully. I do not know. I can't know. Hold on. This needs to be connected to a different circuit altogether. Right. So now, hopefully we have enough redstone juice to last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 15. We do not have enough redstone juice. We're simply going to move this activating block a bit further back for now. I guess if this doesn't function, I'm going to be in a bit of trouble, so let's hope it does. It doesn't. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, now I have to fix all of them. Please don't make me fix more machines myself. Alright. They're all going, and will they stop in the correct places? They seem to have stopped in the correct places, so now if we get another button, this hopefully doesn't freeze any of the... Okay, let's give it a go. I'm horrified. No, this one doesn't... This one didn't start. Why did you not start? Because I have the activator wrong. I need to make those... I need to stop making those stupid mistakes. It caused so much pain to fix, dude. No. Okay, so after a long time of fixing my stupid mistake, we can try this once again. Still immensely satisfying to look at all of them function together. Now, do we have the activator for this in the proper spot? Yes. The question is if it's going to actually activate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this should activate. Should activate. Now, I don't know if it's going to. Like, Lord, have mercy on my soul. I think it did activate. Another one didn't activate. Another one broke. Okay, so that one now functions. Kind of? It doesn't. Didn't activate. For what possible reason could this have not to activate? Back to fixing. Right, we have restored this once again. And now there's a thing I need to check out. And that thing is... why is this piston not gonna activate? And if it's not going to activate, why is it not going to activate? So if I give this a go, this piston should absolutely extend and contract, right? It does. It's perfectly fine. So I screwed up in some other way. I have to move all of them together, because otherwise they get tangled. But now let's do a smart thing. We're going to do a bit of blocking. So we're going to use crying obsidian for this blocking, so we know which blocks to take out. We're going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of those flying machines are now blocked from moving. So all we have to do is activate the 2 machines here for this test to be successful. Now, this machine should activate with this piston activating, and it should fly back. This is a problem. This is a bit of a problem. Guess we'll add another one like this. I didn't think it will fix it, but okay. So now, hopefully, pressing this button should activate both of those. I think it did, but I think this one lagged by a block. Now, why is that? Now, when we could just simply add a button here so it's easier to observe. So that one activates. And this one... Oh, this quasi-connectivity, of course. If I have it like this, this one actually activates the piston on the bottom. This one activates this piston. And it all just screws up from there because that piston can't possibly be activated. And I've replaced this with a transparent block, changed this a bit so not to connect it to that line, just not to cause issues. Now I think we are ready for a test. We just need to take out the crying obsidian. Alright, I've added a couple repeaters to the mix. It should activate one redstone tick later, but that's not a massive problem. So let's... I am scared to push this button. Let's do it! I think it went swimmingly. I think it went rather swimmingly. Give us another go. Fantastic. And now give this another go here. They all moved back into place. Oh man, this took a lot of effort. That's a sigh of relief and a half. Okay, let's hope I don't make stupid mistakes constructing the last machine. Let's go. Alright, now I've added the last machine, the final machine, and I just realized this block should be one higher. Thank God I found that out before starting this. I would just stop this, and then this, and that. Okay, it would be a big deal, actually. So, for that, I think we are ready to give this a go with all of the machines in place. I am horrified to press this button. They seem to have gone... This seems to have gone swimmingly. I think I already have the activator here. I just need... Yeah, because this one is just special for the middle one. So I should be able to push this button, reset the system back to the start. Let's do it. Oh my god, it functions. Oh, okay, it functions. It functions. Ah. Right, man. Right, that was a bit of a trip. Constructing this. Now let's move it to the stop platform. Let's move it all the way over there. Then we can work on adding the water to the system, so to actually test if it behaves properly. Oh man, that's a sigh of relief and a half. Okay, now is the easier part. Hopefully, should stop all of those machines from just like the blocks here did. So now we just need to take out all of those blocks that stop the machines. I am actually positively horrified of activating this, having it fly off into the distance, and then not working. Okay, we have, I think, a grand total of 0 break blocks left in this machine. So this should be a good... Oh man, oh, I'm stressing out. So this should hopefully, when I hit this button, all of this should move together, go all the way and stop at that. And if it doesn't function, I'm going to be scared. You know what? I'm going to make a world backup real quick. Give me a second. Alright, I've made a backup of this world before activating this, because I don't really want to reconstruct all of those machines. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Okay, it's flying. Okay, it's flying. It's flying. Oh, this looks so cool. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. It lags a bit. I'll be honest, it lags a bit. But isn't this cool? No, please let this be proper and correct. Oh, it stopped. It's okay. Oh, oh, okay, okay. Oh, my heart. Alright, now it's just a matter of building the activation mechanism now. So I'm just going to quickly use crying obsidian to make all of the machines freeze in place, just to prevent any accidental releases, for them not to get trampled, and then we are going to make the activation mechanism on this side. Jesus, because Minecraft. But all we theoretically should have to do is just add another block like this and put redstone dust on top of it. Currently not. Don't tell me this is gonna be a problem now. Let's try this, maybe. No, it still freezes. Awesome. Epic. I love it when this happens. Now this is a bit of a problem because I don't wanna have this depend on where the button is placed. But look, if I move the button one block over, they now all extend together. So, redstone man, the back test. Just need to take out all the crying obsidian. So that's 3, 4, 5 crying obsidian gone, 6, 7, 8 crying obsidian gone. When I press this button, this entire machine should activate and fly back to the starting position. So, let's do it. Seems to be going. Seems to be going. Okay, I think this actually now makes this entire system a nice two-way system. Man. Okay, now this has been tested here many times. It does work. We know that it stops correctly, right? Nothing's going to explode. Nothing's going to just stop working and break. Everything's just gonna arrive at the stop location. And the entire machine stops. Alright. I think this is actually pretty wonderful. Set it off. Now get out of the piston distance so we don't have to listen to this thing. The slabs are getting pushed along. The ice blocks are getting moved down. So I think with this setup, we are now ready to begin phase 2, which is introducing water into the mix. Oh man. Oh man, I'm so glad to see this working. Go off, my child. Go off. And it stops over there. Fantastic. Right, now this little tiny obsidian setup here is not going to be pushed down by the pistons, and it has a little hole here in the middle, so any water actually flowing out of the system here will be caught by this and won't spill. The place now has a little roof. I'm just going to add the pillars in the corners to make it look a tiny bit better. This is a screenshot moment. I just realized I need to build a roof because I'm going to be testing with water and it's going to start to freeze. So give me a moment. Right, now that out of the way. This shouldn't freeze anymore. Shouldn't freeze. That freezes for some reason. Even with this it freezes, but only on one side. Bro. Brother. Seriously? Seriously? Alright, no, this doesn't freeze. I wonder if I made this symmetrical, because I like things to be symmetrical. Would this work on this side if I took those out? Or will it freeze? This one doesn't freeze, that one doesn't freeze. Fantastic. Just need to test if the water sources here can waterlog the slab, or if we'll have to figure out some other solution. Water bucket. Now we throw a bucket here. We now created a redstone clock. We'll send the machine over to the other side and start working on this. Oh, fuck me. Wait and take them and go away. Now this is one fixed. Now the other one is going to be this, which I just took a slime block out of. And this one I also took a slime block out of. This piston froze? It didn't freeze before. They both froze. Redstone, redstone, redstone. In here should theoretically update that piston just as long as it extends next to it, which is it's an interesting solution to an equally interesting problem. By which I mean I shouldn't have to have the problem and I shouldn't need to even have a solution to it, but hopefully this additional piston makes sure the first piston actually does not freeze. Hopefully they don't just both freeze together at some point, right? All done and ready. We've got garages, we've got activating systems, we've got a little bit of a system at the bottom for not making the water spill out of this place. Now we just need to figure out a way to get the slabs to be waterlogged every time the machine resets. And after that we just need to make sure this thing can actually properly generate ice as it goes. And I think we are actually slowly closing in on a system. So I'm going to go do something else, and I'll be back later, and we'll try to finish this thing. So for now, I mean, I guess this doesn't really make sense, because you're going to be watching this in a video. It's going to be cut, so I'll just come back immediately. But, you know, from my perspective, it makes more sense, okay? So, bye-bye for now. And while I was away, I had a bit of a think, and while thinking, I've noticed an interesting fact, and that fact is that the part of the machine that you see behind me, which is the one when the machine goes back, this one goes in the front of the 2 pistons with slabs, or 4 pistons with slabs. This part actually is going to erase all of the progress made by the slab machine, because the slab machine will create the water, and then those pistons will push down and remove the water. So those machines are actually completely counterproductive. Now, I have an idea to remedy that issue. I actually have 2 ideas. One of them is to only have the pistons go down that are going to clear the path for the pistons with slabs. So only have this piston, the one next to it, this one, and basically make this 2 machines instead of 3. So that's one of the ideas. And the other idea is actually to use, instead of pistons, use melting. So when this machine goes back, to only melt the 1 block below it with some kind of light source, and then leave all the other blocks around it alone. Now, if I grab a bit of glowstone, because that's a very movable by piston light block, and place it in the middle, how long does it take for the ice to melt? It does take a while for the ice to melt. This doesn't even get melted immediately. Right, so basically, this little test tells me that this idea is not feasible because of how long it takes and how random the ice melting actually is. So we'll have to go with the approach of making the 3 machines in the back 2 machines. Alright, so while trying to come up with a new idea for this, I had another bit of a think, and I figured out another idea. And that new idea I figured out would be to have a very simple solution to the problem. Just to have something like a piston here that would just go with this machine and simply, you know, push down right in front of this piston to have it sort of to move any ice blocks out of the way before it. Now, this might not be possible with a machine that spans, you see, 2 rows together, but I think it's going to be entirely possible if a machine were to simply be in 1 row and we just had 4 machines, 1 for each row. Alright, so I think I've invented a machine that's going to clear the blocks in front of itself when it goes. There we go. Of course, just need to move those slabs by 1. They are going to be moved by 1 when the machine is on the other side. But if we tap this, it goes in the other direction. So this is actually extremely simple. All it does is it makes use of this part of the machine to sweep the 2 blocks in front of it, to then so then those pistons can safely move through. So now let's just build it on the other side, I guess. It seems like the setup has turned out to be a lot more simple than I initially thought, and you can see by the size of this garage that it actually is half the size that it was before, which is a very nice improvement because it means less building, it means less lag, and it's, of course, looks a bit more slick, you know, when it doesn't have this massive overdone thing all around it. So now those activators are actually perfectly fine to activate this, I think, at least. And those half blocks here are fair enough. Oh, I just realized we might have a bit of a problem. No, because this is all... Oh, I keep falling off. I thought we might have a bit of a problem with them sticking to one another, but I don't think any slime blocks actually collide when this goes right next to it, to this one. So we should actually be perfectly fine to activate it. We just need a mechanism to catch it on the other side. So from the block that stops this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the... This is actually exactly the same block, which is wonderful. And let's give it a go. Alright, seems to be flying, seems to be pulling along just fine. Now I am hoping we didn't... Oh, one of those has encountered a problem. Just probably fused one of them together with the other one. Hopefully this one's going to be fine. You can see half of the hangar is completely useless now, but that's actually very nice. Also, this was causing issues before, so I'm glad to remove it. It's about time for us to actually implement water into the system. So the whole point of this is to replenish water to make ice. And so what I think I have to do is I think I have to replace every other block here with a solid block like this, so that ice can form next to the solid block, because I don't think ice can form next to slabs. Now this fills a nice square with water, and if I am correct that slabs do not allow ice to form, this should not get frozen at all for all of this time. While this tests, we can implement another thing that I thought of, and that is we need a way to waterlog those slabs when they get out of the machine. And the way I figured I'm going to do that is by having slabs here, which are going to have water source blocks in them that are not going to freeze because they are in a slabs, but those pistons would push those slabs down, so we are going to introduce obsidian below below the slabs, and that way, when there's obsidian here, there's no way this gets pushed down, because the obsidian can't be pushed down. And we just have a nice set of slabs that are going to... So this nice set of slabs is going to waterlog that slab where it comes through, so that it's filled, and then the actual slab is going to be waterlogged, so it's just going to be used to create water sources all the way along here. So now this clearly doesn't freeze. Now just to test it further, we can introduce solid blocks, and it should freeze fairly fast next to the solid blocks compared to not freezing at all next to the slabs. Oh, there we go, that's the first one. Okay, I don't think ice depends on random tick speed, but I am now going to replace every other block on the side here with a solid block, and then hopefully we are going to be able to give this system a first test. With all of those slabs, half of those slabs replaced with solid blocks, like this, they are opposite of each other, just if you ask, and that's on purpose, so don't bother commenting about it. And now we just need to fill those blocks in. Let's start by filling those slabs in. It's actually better than I expected. So we have those slabs, now we are just going to spill water all over this section here. And after that, we are going to spill water on the other side and then give the machine a test. All of the blocks waterlogged here. Now on shaders, of course, this looks like solid water, but it's not, it's flowing water. So we just need to... We need the machine to actually activate the thing by moving the waterlogged slabs. So nothing changed about this system. It should function just fine. So let's get the machine going. Let's see how it works. Right, this is the first test. Is it leaving water source blocks behind? I think it is. No, they are not water source blocks. Never mind. This didn't function because they didn't get waterlogged in time. Okay, so this machine is incredibly loud, and it doesn't function like it's supposed to. And also, this got stuck on something. There's an additional slab? Hold on a second. What is this slab doing here? Why are there two slabs? Like some previous... It's not even a previous run slab, I'm fairly certain. Well, that's a bit embarrassing, frankly. Right, let's just give them a punch. Give them a punch. They both arrive. Alright, so the first test of the system was a massive failure. The machine made it across nicely, but no source blocks were created because the slabs didn't actually get waterlogged like I expected in my idea. So I'm going to send the machine back across, and we're gonna think of a way to waterlog the slabs. Now, I can't help but notice that I think the system has taken some slabs with it across. Yeah, because this slime block actually stuck to the thing and took it across, and that's why it stopped over there on the other side. So at least that's one mystery solved. Will it ever get waterlogged like I want it to? Introduce a thing here. Is all I need? Are those actually all turning into water? Did I actually accidentally, because of this... Hold on a second. I'm trying to fix a thing, and it turns out I accidentally created a self-refreshing water source pattern with those blocks here. Because they go... If you look at the blocks, if they are in the other direction, it always creates a row of blocks here, of sources. Plus, this one source actually creates the whole row, which then activates this to make another source here. So I've actually created a thing that refreshes all the water sources without the flying machine. So it turns out even more of the setup I made here is absolutely useless, and only the pistons that pushes the ice blocks down are going to be useful. So so this project basically went from a massive flying machine filling like this entire garage to just free flying machines like this, and a simple thing that simply refreshes the water sources naturally after the machine's gone through. Man, this is... At the same time, it's really, really cool, but also it's disappointing as hell. Is going to consist of 3 flying machines only. What a journey the creation of this is a massive journey, man. Look, all of this entirely useless. Now that we've figured out a way to simply create source blocks by doing nothing, we can actually simplify this even further, I just realized. So now all of this completely unnecessary. Man, so much effort went into creating all of this, only for it to turn out completely pointless. I guess optimization. See this massive hole where the flying machines were? Yeah. Okay, while we wait for the ice to build up on the platform, we can actually start measuring out how much is going to be pushed down by. So this is 1 block, the floor is the 2nd block. So from the 2nd block, there's 10 more that the pistons can push. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is how many blocks of ice there are going to be after this machine is done. But the whole point behind this machine is that you can use it to generate a bunch of ice and then for later, and then when you have time, when you are back on the server, for example, you simply just go and you mine from this place as much ice as you actually want. This little machine here. And with this tiny thing, now we are at that. And it's actually not impressive anymore because this only has 3 machines. Well, I do remember. You know what? While this is building up, we can start work on a clock system for this. You can see here, I've created a very simple redstone clock that doesn't actually really use redstone for the clock part, so it doesn't trigger updates all the time, which should be a bit, should make the server a little bit more happy. So there's a sugarcane. If the sugarcane grows 2 levels, it gets cut down by this piston, and the observer, of course, is going to give a tick out to this redstone here. So now we can wire this into a pulse extender, so it doesn't, because this is going to cause 2 updates every time, so we don't want the 2nd update to accidentally cause the machine to screw up, maybe by ticking it twice in a very rapid succession. We just run this into a pulse extender, connect the pulse extender to this when it's ready, and then just have the whole system be fully automatic, and just have a 2nd clock like that on the other side of that to trigger the machine going back, because this setup actually works both ways just as well. Only the last hole remains, so I figured let's wait for it to fill. I realize I could have filled it manually, but you know, this is definitely better content. Let's take a look at this from another angle. You can see with the shaders there's a nice, slightly fake, but a nice reflection of the machine. I like those boats. Oh, there we go, it's filled. So now the entire thing is filled. Let's give this a go. Actually, you know what? Let's actually tick it with the proper clock, because I figured I am going to design this simple pulse extender that just uses 3 repeaters to extend the pulse of the thing. So now take them like this, have it like this. Now we just, well, of course, going to stimulate the clock a tiny bit by using sugarcane. Now, when we place the last sugarcane, this should push the entire floor 1 block down. So I am excited. Let's go. See, the water is filling. The water is filling back in behind the machine slowly, and it's going across, pushing all the blocks of ice 1 level down. This is working exactly as intended, dude. Oh, I'm hyped. Look at this. Very nicely pushing across. Should be no issues. Should actually just park itself in the garage over here. A bit too far because, well, there was supposed to be way larger. Yeah, it parked itself. So we just now need another redstone, quote-unquote redstone, well, sugarcane clock here to activate it in the other direction. And as you can see, the water source is actually filling back in, and the ice is starting to regenerate behind those water sources. I don't know if this is the most effective farm I could have made, but I'm honestly very happy with the result. Now, of course, these are all snow blocks. Okay, now this is how the farm is going to look at the start. So it's just going to have a massive ice ceiling. And now, of course, those sources are filling back up. They're going to completely fill up. There's going to be ice growing in here. And after the ice is grown, the machine is going to go the other way, push it back down, and just go back and forth like this. So I'm going to add another redstone clock in here. Fill this with a fill command, so just so we can see it again, because it's really cool. And then I'll show it doing it again. I thought of another improvement, actually. If we had a bunch of water sources on this side that are permanent also, just like the sources on the other side, I think we could actually get the water to fill back in a just ever so slightly faster. And this should have a tiny bit of an improvement on the time it takes for this to, and especially on the time it takes to refill from when the machine is coming from this side. Now we've filled the entire rink with ice. Let me just remove those blocks and we are going to give this a go. Okay, so I've cleaned up the entire garage here. Of course it looks very empty because, well, the initial setup was a tiny bit more complicated. Now those blocks are actually from the old setup, so we can remove them because the blocks stopping those machines are down here at the bottom. So we can use the manual switch, set this machine loose, let it push down on those things. Hopefully this is not going to cause any issues with the new thing I've introduced. Doesn't seem like it has, and now this should start filling up from this side behind the machine like it did before. And this ice is getting nicely pushed down, creating another layer of blocks. This is incredibly satisfying to watch, especially from the bottom. Look at this. Nicely sweeps through all of the ice that's been created. Pushes it all down, creating a massive ice block. And it stops here and waits for another tick from the actual sugarcane clock. As you can see, they are now filling in from both sides. So one from this side, one from the other. Which should make them refill the entire pool of water way quicker than it would have otherwise. Imagine this is what the system looks like after some time of AFKing. It basically creates a massive block of ice. All of those here are ice blocks inside of this large cube. And then there's another set of ice blocks. Let's just activate this manually real quick. Because look how satisfying this is. It's gonna be able to move one block down. So if we know where to push another layer where to generate those blocks would actually not be pushed down by the machine. I'll fill them in just to show you what happens. Now this is going to push. No blocks are going to actually get pushed down because there's 12 blocks of ice below one another. And that actually is the piston push limit. I've given myself a diamond pickaxe, set my game mode to survival mode, and let's see actually how long it takes for this to for us to mine all of this. Right, so as you can see, I've mined about 2 levels of this, plus 4. And this is how many stacks of ice I've gotten from mining just 2 levels of this. Of course, you can move really fast on this because it's ice. I, of course, don't take hunger because this is actually peaceful. But as you can see, insta-mine with the efficiency 5, you probably would like to spawn-proof those things because you can't have any light here because it'll melt the ice. So you would want to spawn-proof this bottom platform here, just to make sure no mobs interrupt your mining experience. And then, of course, if you do this, you can quite nicely get yourself a bunch of ice that you can then turn into packed ice or blue ice for your maybe nether pathway, or maybe you have an item water stream, whatever, or maybe you want to create some other funny methods of transportation that I'm working on. you know, whatever it is you want to create, this should, after AFKing, give you a very easy way to get a bunch of ice without going to an ice, you know, ice biome and mining there. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. So just like we started in the ground, we're going to finish in the ground. I'm very happy this project turned out as it did. It's way simpler than I thought. Most of the challenges I've made for myself turned out to be entirely useless, but that's okay, you know, time spending learning and having fun and experimenting. It's not time wasted. I know a bit more about mechanics. I have a working farm design. I can't wait to build this in survival Minecraft, so very happy with this. If you stuck around to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the time listening to me slowly going insane, rambling about how my flying machines stuck to one another and don't work anymore. Thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye. Go away.